Hello and welcome to another edition of Straight from the Training Ground, the podcast where we share our love for the beautiful game and the people out in our communities doing beautiful things. And we are very excited to have Howard Surplus here with us from LA Active Sports. Fits right into what we're all about here at Straight from the Training Ground. Howard, thank you so much for taking a few minutes today to hop on here with us.
Absolutely, thank you. It's always amazing to be able to have people like you promote the amazing work that's happening out there in the cities.
Well, we need to get into a little bit about what you are doing. So, if you guys can see there on the screen, LA Active Sports was founded by Howard in 2020. Their mission is to provide accessibility, a growth mindset, and opportunity to kids in the Los Angeles area. You can see their mission there. Again, accessibility, growth mindset, opportunities. Howard, one of the things I love is under accessibility, your aim to eliminate the pay-to-play model and ensure that soccer remains accessible to lower income communities, which, we all know is an issue here in this country with soccer. So with that being said, the first thing I'd like to ask you, I guess, is, what was your motivation? How did you get LA Active Sports started? And how did you become involved?
So the motivation behind it has always been obviously the sport. I played soccer since I was young. My father played, his father's played, and so I grew up with the beautiful sport, obviously. And as I grew up, I remember the first time I ever played soccer was a Park League AYSO, where I think referee fees were maybe $1 at that time, and
Yeah.
you got it for $25, I think, for the league. You got your uniform, and you got to go out there and have fun. And growing up in a low-income community, low-income family, that took a lot, right? So it gave us an opportunity to go out there as a family, kind of hang out. So that's really where it grew from. I've been in sports my whole life. I played soccer in college for a little bit at City College until I got hurt. And then I happened to just get into sports and coaching for the rest of that time. During school, I did after school coaching, coach soccer, and it was a passion. So it just grew from there. As I got older, I started seeing how much more difficult it was for kids in the community that I grew up in to play soccer, at least competitively. Even the park leagues became more expensive. And that's really where it came from. We just wanted to provide opportunities to youth and low-income communities to be able to play without having to worry about the burden of playing and having to pay. Parents in low-income communities have enough of a hard time getting food on the table, transporting kids to go to these heavy parks and amazing trainings, which obviously is amazing, but unfortunately parents don't have the opportunities to do those things. So when we had the opportunity to start something up, myself and 3 other partners of mine, we took it, and we haven't looked back since.
That's awesome, man. So LA Active Sports, you are a partnership, or you have a partnership with LAFC, a good relationship with them, Adidas, BMO, and U.S. Soccer Foundation. So
Yeah,
those are obviously some great partners to have
yeah,
their support. And I know you have a strong relationship in your community there with LAFC from some of the things you've done.
yeah.
Can you explain to everybody a little bit about what are some of the programs, and more specifically, like what do you offer through LA Sports Active?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is the first one that we ever started with was with LAFC. LAFC has a huge supporter section. I don't know if you guys follow LAFC that way. But the
Yep.
very first event that we ever did was with their supporter section. It was a fundraiser just to bring people out to play futsal soccer, which was 5-on-5 for adults at that time. And the entry fee and registration fee was to bring a gift. We wanted to raise as many gifts as possible for the community, for the kids. And those guys were able to raise, if I'm not mistaken, close to 300 different gifts that were given out to youth in the community. And that's really where it stemmed from with LAFC. We always had a close partnership with them. They've always been amazing. But the very next big project that we were fortunate enough to be a part of was Just Ball. And that's an initiative that goes on through U.S. Soccer Foundation and Adidas. It actually happens. The first 3 places that it happened were, if I'm not mistaken, New York, Los Angeles, and I believe Texas were the first 3. So it was just to build, enthusiasm about soccer again through futsal, and that was it. So we do 8-week tournaments in the fall and in the spring, completely free of charge. As many kids as we can get to come in. In most cases, U.S. Soccer and Adidas provide either jerseys, T-shirts, equipment that the kids are going to be able to use throughout the year. They give us balls, cones. So then we give teams that equipment to do everything that they need to practice, and then come over on the weekends. When we first started, it was only on the weekends. It's grown now to that where we're doing it during the week as well. So that was a partnership with Adidas and US Soccer. And then obviously LAFC has been a big part of that as well. But that happens in the fall and in the spring. And then in the summer, LAFC and BMO give us additional funding to be able to host an amazing summer tournament, which is, I think, the one that you guys were able to recently see.
Yeah.
And that one is the same thing. Everything is completely free of charge. We promote it to the community. We promote it through other clubs, and have them just come out on the weekend. We set up schedules. We have referees. The culminating event, as you saw, has been always a big thing for LAFC and BMO. They come out. They bring food for everyone, not just the kids playing, but the families playing. We have trophies. We have all these things. We recognize the families, the students, the youth, everyone that comes out just to have a good time and just have an open space to play free of charge.
Man, that is absolutely amazing. I mean, tremendous work, and just so nice to hear you doing that out there for so many kids. It's just amazing. What would you say, this I'm sure might be difficult, but what would you say so far you're probably the most proud of from LA Active Sports?
Honestly, just being able to get it off the ground was a really big deal to us. I'd never had an organization. We didn't know what it was like. We're actually trying to now build a 501c3 out of this so that we can be a little bit more active in the community that way. I know that funding and things like this don't come easy. There are very, very amazing organizations out there that are all looking for support, and I think we're all doing the same thing. So that is our next goal, is to be able to become a 501c3. But just getting it off the ground, to be honest, has been one of the biggest goals of ours. And until now, it is the biggest thing that we're proud of. The fact that we've now gone 2 years, again, coming off a pandemic where we were shut down and couldn't do anything, to 2 strong years of having kids come out. I think we're up to maybe, if I'm not mistaken, over 6,000 students or youth that have been able to participate throughout our programs.
Wow.
So that's been amazing for us. And we're just looking to grow. And that is the biggest thing we've achieved till now, is being able just to keep it afloat and keep going.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. Over 6,000 kids. And, as well as I do, I mean, in any community, those kids probably would not have had access to soccer without something like that. That's just fantastic, man.
Yeah.
So along those lines, I know there's probably been a lot of challenges. What were some of the biggest challenges or hurdles you faced? And off camera, we talked about you started originally in 2020, but the pandemic came around, and obviously that made things difficult. So factoring that, but then also just trying to get this organization off the ground, what were some of the biggest hurdles you faced?
That was it. The pandemic was really big for us. When we first started, we always knew we wanted to stay within youth. That's what we've all 4 of us have always worked with youth our whole lives. We've all come from low income communities, so that was our world. At that time, we didn't have funding. We didn't know how we were going to be able to do this. When we first started, it was just all of us saying, hey, we're all going to put a little bit of money and see where we can go from this and try to grow it out. So the funding source was obviously also a big thing. And then amazingly, obviously, US Soccer Foundation and Adidas came in and said, listen, there's some funding. We'd like to do this through some of our partnerships that we have. Obviously, LAFC was one of them. We were lucky enough to be able to, find some of that funding and be able to do things like this. But really, it was just really getting it off the ground off a year where we were very excited, and then everything shut down. And so we had to find our way back and figure out, how do we even start advertising something when the world is still worried about just coming out of their houses and being safe and all these other things. So that was the biggest hurdle, to be honest. It really took a hit to get the organization off the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine. I mean, that must have been, it's difficult enough under a normal situation to get something like that started.
Yeah.
So out there, for anyone out there in their community, in any community, obviously you're in Los Angeles, but in any community, anyone that's out there that's passionate like you are about providing opportunities like this, what would be some advice you would give them? Once they have this idea in their head, but how do they make it come to fruition? What advice would you have for them?
So I think that the biggest thing that worked out for us was just collaborating. I know everyone has their organizations. Obviously, some organizations are looking for funding, trying to make money, and all these other things. But if you're really passionate about the sport, you're really passionate just about helping youth and giving them opportunities, collaborating is always the easiest way. There are amazing other amazing organizations here in LA that we piggyback off of, and I promote them and they promote us, and we work together when we can, and help each other out, because there's only so much one organization can do, right? And especially in a city like LA, I mean, we're lucky to have such a huge sports base in every sport, right? But lucky enough to have two professional teams in every sport basically as well.
Yeah.
So there's plenty to go around. There's plenty of people that want to help, and there's plenty of youth and low income communities that don't have opportunities. So collaborating, I would always have to say, is the biggest thing that we really bounce off of when we need that additional help.
Yeah, that's great. So we'll include a link and everything to LA Active Sports and how you can contact Howard if you need any advice or support and those kind of things in our description down below. And one last question, Howard, we'll get you out of here. But so you've done some amazing things, like we've talked about, for the LA community regarding kids in lower income areas and soccer. What would you like to see in the future from LA Active Sports?
So we're actually doing that. We're moving towards the next level now. Originally, all four of us, like I said, the four partners that we have are soccer based. We all grew up playing soccer. It's our passion. It's our love. But we called it LA Active Sports because we want to branch out into other sports. So that is something that we want to be able to do. Again, we're lucky to be in a city where we have so many different professional teams, and I think we have relationships with other teams that would probably want to be involved as well, right? Once we get this one off the ground. But the next really big project that we're now doing, that is the future for us, is building the sport of soccer, which we've done. We are now moving towards a tournament that we are hosting in El Salvador. 3 of us are from El Salvador. 2 of them were born there. My parents were born there. All 4 of us come from a Latino background. And so we are now hosting a tournament that we're organizing in El Salvador for November. We were able to get some funding, obviously, through all the great stuff that we're doing here in LA. And we're now hosting a free of charge tournament out there, where it's not just low income communities, the whole country is a low income country. So
yeah, wow.
Being able to provide something like that and trying to branch out has been amazing. It's something that all of us are extremely proud of. It'll be our first one, so we'll see how it goes. But just being able to organize, working with the government out there to kind of help us and guide us, but just giving other kids now opportunities in different countries is a really big goal of ours. And we want to be able to do that and spread it out to different countries. Our, I guess, aha moment would be if we can have a tournament where we can bring kids from LA, from Colombia, from El Salvador, from all different countries into one place and have a tournament where, it's their mini World Cup.
Yeah. Wow, man. Amazing. I love that. And it's just amazing to hear everything you've been doing here. Howard Serpis here with us from LA Active Sports in the LA area. Howard, I can't thank you enough, man. Obviously here at our podcast, that's what we're all about, is people like you in our community that are doing such amazing things to help kids with the game of soccer. I really appreciate, on a personal level, for taking a few minutes to hop on here with us. I know you're very busy, but it's great to see what you're doing. And obviously we'll do everything we can do to support you. And if you're out there in your community somewhere, reach out, just like he advised earlier. And that's what everyone does, collaborate with people, get some advice, reach out. And I think you'd be amazed at how many people out there, even through social media, whatever, can help out and just help you through the process. But Howard, thank you so much, man. Keep up the great work. It's amazing to hear all the fantastic things, like you said, you've done for over 6,000 kids in the LA area with LAFC and everyone else. And just keep up the great work. Very proud of you, man. Very proud of you.
Thank you. And thank you. Obviously, having podcasts like this, I have to say it's my first one. But having people like you promote the amazing things that all these organizations are doing out there, that's amazing. So thank you for all the work you do.
No problem. We appreciate it. We'd love to have you back sometime here later on. Hopefully we can hear about the tournament. Yeah. Branch off into other countries and keep up the great work.
Love to. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Until next time, straight from the training ground. Check out our friends at Duktig Brand FC for all of your coaching needs, notebooks, and more. Visit our friends at TractionSocks.com for your grip socks.